Hello, it's September 10th, 2024. My name is Joe Weston, and we're here for our monthly Global Heart Gathering. It's always lovely to see familiar faces and always lovely to see new faces, people who come and join us actually at the time on the World Wide Web to participate in this gathering and practice, and those who are holding space around the world. For those of you who have heard many, many times, we're here to connect and to take a moment in these chaotic, strange, bizarre, illuminating, enlightening, exciting times. I'll leave it at that. To ground, to restore balance, to connect back to our hearts with ourselves and with others, with two-leggeds and four-leggeds. I've already seen a number of four-leggeds wandering around. Always good to have them join, and to make sense of where we are in this time, and to do as we often do here is to take our time to practice. I offer some words about perspectives that are how I see things are unfolding at this time. We take that into our practice, and then we have a chance to reflect and support one another. And as you know, that our practice here is to cultivate for us resilience and fierce compassion. And that understanding the times that we're in, we see that these are extraordinary times. And as I always say, the bad news is that the structures as we know them are crumbling. And the good news is the structures as we know them are crumbling. And that's always that liminal in-between space where we are tested at our best. And I have seen it happen. I know people around the world in some conflict zones and volatile places, connecting more with people who are doing such beautiful, extraordinary work. And it is so enlivening to my heart to see how many people at this moment on the planet are recognizing what is happening, are standing up and addressing the call, and that each one of us are finding in our own way a way of being of service, a way of holding space. And as I say, what we're doing here is we're cultivating the skills and the practices of a doula, a midwife. And that in essence, what we're here to do is to hold space with fierceness and compassion, to support a process and a system that is dying away. We're in a sense midwives for the dying process. And we're here to hold space for what is already emerging and what is birthing. And so miraculous to see behind all of the noise that we see on social media and the media, and the ways in which the world system loves to keep us dysregulated and isolated, that when we can find our way back to ourselves, find our centeredness and our grounding and restore balance and connect with others, that we all can see what's unfolding and the beauty of that. So again, thank you for those who are here, who come regularly. Thank you for those of you who are here for the first time. And I want to offer some perspectives on that. Many of you know that the work I do is called, to the different bodies of work I do is called respectful confrontation and fierce civility. And that my whole mission is how do those who do advocate for civility, for a new kind of civility, an upgraded kind of civility, who do advocate it for and understand the transformational power of the heart, who are bridge builders, peacemakers, who want to see this emergence of a global community, which we call a global heart, that's healthy and well and supportive of all people. How do we step into a deeper level of that? And I gifted myself, some of you will be very happy to hear, I gifted myself a massage last week.
Yay.
My own self-care, and very happy. It was okay. The massage was okay. But on the table, because I have a background as a massage therapist, body worker, healer, and I was reminded of the brilliant teacher that I had, massage teacher Chester Maynard, a genius, who I had the privilege to learn from. He taught me how to also teach massage, and of course, I received many massages and healings from him. And I borrow a phrase that he uses which is I'd like to use in terms of the context of what I'd like to offer today. He talked about the resilient edge of resistance. The resilient edge of resistance. Now, for massage, that's important because just think of it, if you've ever had a massage, if you're going to have a massage where someone is just very lightly and sweetly rubbing your body, I don't know, I'd go crazy in about 4.5 minutes. And that would not really be the effect of what a massage can offer you. At the same time, if someone's ramming in their elbow and digging in and causing the body to go into a trauma response, that's also not going to cause healing or relaxation or your goals. But to have the presence and the sensitivity to feel into yourself, to take a breath, to meet the other where they are, and to lean in and feel with deep sensitivity where the edge of resistance is, and train yourself to be able to dance on that edge, is where I think transformation is going to happen and where we're going to see the emergence of new solutions and reconciliation and healing and lasting peace. So think about, for those of you who do yoga or stretching, so you can just kind of like loosely stretch and say, yeah, I've done my workout, la-di-da-di-da, and not have any benefit, or you can overstretch. But what would it take for you to find that resilient edge of resistance? Why many of us avoid it is because it is constantly uncomfortable. Being on the resilient edge of resistance is constantly uncomfortable. And when we're not mindful and we're not clear in ourselves and our practices, our nervous systems are wired to avoid uncomfortable at any costs. Especially a nervous system that is filled with trauma, whether that's personal trauma, generational trauma, cultural trauma, environmental trauma. When or suffering from severe chronic stress, if you're in those states, unfortunately, the nervous system can't tell the difference anymore between uncomfortable and unsafe. So that in essence, when you start feeling uncomfortable, the nervous system's already into unsafe, hungry tiger, or whatever comes up for the nervous system of this is unsafe, I must either fight, flight, or flee. And that's the reason why we are not seeing more transformation happening. That's the reason why we're saying, why aren't things moving more quickly? Why aren't we seeing the efforts that we're putting in? So many people doing remarkable work to facilitate the emergence of a new way of being on this planet based on compassion and respect. And my feeling is that a lot of us are not stepping into and being called to, or have the skills to be skillful on that resilient edge of resistance. And what I am suggesting is that the times are calling for us to, whatever we are doing to be of service, to step into a deeper level of courage, compassion, curiosity, to step into being finding our way of dancing on that resilient edge of resistance. Now, what I mean by that is that there are enormous number of people who are doing tremendous work. And there are a lot of people, I would say, that what they're doing is that they create situations to soothe people. Like that's their service, is to give talks or to create environments where people walk away feel soothed. For in Dutch is sussen, kalmeren. Is to to create that sense of soothing. And that is beautiful for those people who are needing that at that moment. Some people are really good at creating refuge, toevlucht, to be able to create a space where people feel safe. And for many people, that's all they need at this moment. And I would say that a number of people who are showing up here for the Global Heart Practice are brilliant soothers. They're brilliant at creating refuge. And my question is, what would it excite you to step more into being what I would say what facilitates transformation? Because I don't know how much transformation happens when you're soothed. I don't know how much transformation happens when you find yourself staying in a safe place. And it's a call to action. And for those of you who know me, I've devoted my life to making sure wherever I am, people feel uncomfortable. And I do it gladly. And I don't normally do that. I'm just making kind of a joke. It's kind of it's a choice. It's my spiritual practice in essence to create spaces to facilitate transformation, because transformation is always uncomfortable. And I wonder what it could be for us, particularly now, particularly for instance, in the United States, where we've got a month and a half now with a very important election coming up. And if I'm not mistaken, that in 2024, there are 80 plus national elections happening around the world. This is a transformational year. What would it look like if more of us stepped into this idea of transformational, creating transformation, which means leaning into people on the resilient edge of resistance to see, is there ways to transform yours and someone else's viewpoints, habits, and patterns? And what we're seeing in the world is a world, because of the level of dysregulation and anxiety, where people most of us are stuck in fight, flight, or freeze. And the people who are stuck in fight, they want to fight the system. They want to take down the system. They want to tear things down. And unfortunately, what I believe, and many other people that I talk to in this realm, say that fighting the system only feeds the system. You only stagnate the system, and you actually continue to build a fight mentality, which is not going to lead to healing or reconciliation or healthy transformation. Or people are in flight, where they're stuck in their addictions. They're stuck in going down rabbit holes in the internet. They want to flight back to a time when things were good for them. We see that a lot in our rhetoric. But most of us are stuck in a freeze response, where we, because of our dysregulation, disconnection, we want to be more effective. We want to contribute more, but for some reason can't figure out what to do. And my appeal is, for those of us here, is what can we do to find some of those people who really want to step up? They want to see more civility. They want to see more collaborative effort to create an environment and a society for all of us to thrive. And that requires, in a sense, leaning into the resilient edge of resistance. In a sense, how do we appeal to the hearts of people? And how do we engage with their nervous system to keep them in an uncomfortable place, to help them start questioning and reframing how they see things? And in all the work I've done around the world in transformational leadership work in the Middle East and in conflict zones and here in the US and in Europe, the most important thing to consider is that people will not transform their viewpoints, habits, and patterns if you first don't create an environment of safety and trust. And from there, you can lean into where their resistance is and help. And in that dance, both of you are going to come out of that learning something new. So you start with safety and trust, and it's this idea of making resistance your best friend, in a sense. And when I'm facilitating or coaching and working with people, if I'm working with a group of people and there isn't resistance in the room, I'm not doing my job. I'm nervous. That I know, because if you think about it, people, for someone to transform their viewpoints, habits, and patterns, which means taking on a new viewpoint, habit, and pattern, means they have to be willing to let go of a viewpoint, habit, and pattern they already have. No one gives that up willingly. So, and therefore, if someone is considering even a little bit, maybe I could consider shifting my viewpoint, habit, or pattern, they're first going to go through a process of resistance. So that's why I say resistance is a good friend. And what you're leaning into, the resilient edge of resistance, is you're being resilient on that edge with their resistance to breathe into another level of who we can be. And then ultimately, it's no longer just soothing. It's no longer just being a place of refuge. It's really supporting people in this process. I love that kind of process. I love that kind of work. Does anybody else here love that kind of work, or does that resonate? I know there's some amazing people who are doing work like that. Tony McAleer, for instance. Hey, Tony, you want to say a quick hello and what you're doing in the world?
Hi, my name's Tony McAleer, and I wrote a book called The Cure for Hate, a former white supremacist journey from violent extremism to radical compassion. And I do a lot of speaking and working with students and adults on the 3 C's, which is curiosity, courage, and compassion. And we I have a film and a curriculum based on my 2018 journey to Auschwitz that I did, and as part of my atonement and reconciliation with the Jewish people because of my past Holocaust denial. But we've had an amazing experience taking this curriculum into the bluest county in the bluest state in the bluest town in the bluest county, the bluest state, Brattleboro, Vermont, all the way to the reddest town and the reddest county and the reddest state, Rigby, Idaho, and sort of all spaces in between, and having amazing engagements and impact on young people, and challenging them to go outside their comfort zone, challenging them to go into that place of resistance with themselves. Because let's face it, what's happening in society is not going to be solved from inside our comfort zones.
Thank you. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Tony. I've had some really wonderful talks with Tony. And that's just one example. There's so many of you here who are doing remarkable work in your own ways on a national scale, but in your communities as well. Healers, shamans, teachers, facilitators, community leaders. And I want to just invite us into this idea of what would it be like in this coming time to explore that idea of sharpening our skills, dancing on the resilient edge of resistance, and what that actually means. And to actually be able to train yourself. And I believe that's the upgraded skills that's what's being asked of us right now. The times are asking us to upgrade our skills. And for me, that's a way of a guidepost of knowing how I am working. And the fun of it is to use all of my skills. For those of you who know the 4 pillars of resilient power, to know, when do I lean in? When am I feeling I'm pushing in too hard, too much aggression, and I've got to pull back and just and dance on that. But the key to it is staying engaged, staying in the dance. And I believe that there are many people out there, and maybe not everyone, but many people out there that are hungry for this, that are desiring someone to engage with them in this way. It brings them back to life. It enriches your life. And it's in that I believe we will see transformation happen, and we will see the flowing of the transformational power of the heart. So I want to leave it at that, and you may have reflections about this. I'd like to do our practice now, and then we have a chance to reflect on that after. So for those of you who are here for the first time, there's no right way to do this practice or wrong way to do this practice. It's about finding your way. It's a way of cultivating resilience and fierce compassion. The definition that we use always of resilience is a combination of presence, awareness, balance, and flow. So starting with posture, you can find your own way, but I'm just offering you the way that I do it and that we do it to get optimal effect. Sitting in a way where your spine is straight without being rigid, feet flat on the floor, if that's or sitting in crossed with your legs crossed. Elongating your spine without being rigid, also through the back of your neck. Relax your jaw, your shoulders, your belly. Letting your hands just rest on your knees or your thighs without grasping. Either closing your eyes, or if it doesn't feel safe for you, keeping your eyes slightly open, looking down towards the ground a little bit. Power sit, we call this power sit. Bringing your attention now inside of your body to your lower belly to identify your core or your center. And that's approximately the width of 3 fingers below your navel and 1/3 of the way into the body. So if you want to investigate, if you want to look here, you put your fingers together, place your index finger over your navel. And where your pinky resides, that's the width of 3 fingers below your navel. Focusing on that point inside of your body, about 1/3 of the way into the body. Placing your full attention on that spot. What we call your center of gravity, creativity, impulse, gut wisdom, personal power, and your center of awareness. Maintaining your connection with your core. Now from your core, become aware of your contact points, the parts of your body that are connecting with what you're sitting on in the ground. Feel the sensation of where those points are. The pressing of your body down towards the ground, gravity bringing you closer. Surrendering to gravity. And the more you surrender to gravity, the more you actually feel the stability under you. And the way to walk through the world with more confidence and security is to trust that stability that's always under you, as long as there's gravity on this planet. Letting the ground represent Mother Earth herself. Building relationship with Mother Earth, with the land under you. Honoring all the creatures that have dwelled on this piece of land that you're on. Various peoples throughout history who have stewarded this land, offering them reverence and gratitude. Knowing that Mother Earth is always there to support you. You are held. Using this practice to bring your awareness more into the present moment. So starting with yourself, from your center, become aware of your physical body. No need to do anything or change anything. Simply doing an inventory. Let your physical body speak to you in this moment. How is it doing? Learn its vocabulary as it speaks its wisdom, always, in every moment. From your center, become aware of your emotional body. What emotions are you present to in this moment? Without judgment, simply noticing which ones seem to be the most prevalent. And with your presence and with your breath, simply give them space to flow without judgment. From your center, become aware of your mental body, your thoughts. What thoughts are you aware of? And more the quality of the thoughts than the thoughts themselves. Observing your thoughts from your core, your place of awareness. Maintaining a connection with your center, now bringing awareness to your heart, to the middle of your chest, where your heart center resides. Compassion, courage, respect, dignity. And from both your center and from your heart, become aware of that part of you that has connection with something larger than yourself. And in this moment, connecting with that part of you from your center and your heart, asking yourself, what is your connection in this moment to something larger than yourself? That may be something spiritual, that may be humanity, maybe love, the universe, the matrix. This moment, what is your connection with the earth beneath you and with something that is larger than yourself? And with this awareness, allow that to flow out from your heart and your center to fill your personal space, out to the boundaries of your personal space in all directions, above you, behind you. Opening to a deeper awareness of self, connected to heart and personal power. And with this awareness of self, take a full breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. From your center and from your heart, with keeping a connection with yourself, keeping your eyes closed, become aware of your surroundings in all detail, and your surroundings in all directions, the room you're in, what sounds are you noticing, smells, temperature, light, mood, considering how your surroundings are influencing you. And with this awareness of self and surroundings, connection with self and surroundings from your center and from your heart, take a full breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. Maintaining connection with yourself and your surroundings, now from your center and from your heart, become aware of those in this meditation circle, sharing the space with you in this practice, both on the Zoom meeting in the World Wide Web, those who are holding space around the world. What is it to connect with someone or a group of people from your heart and from your core? Considering just with your presence and awareness how you might be influencing these people, and how simply by connecting with them, how they might be influencing you. And with an awareness of self, surroundings, and those in this meditation circle, from your center and from your heart, take a full breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Maintaining this connection to self, surroundings, and those in this meditation circle, allies, and expanding your awareness in your heart, from your center and from your heart, becoming aware of all human beings, first beginning with those human beings you would label loved ones. This is where we're stretching our capacity of fierce compassion and resilience to hold more beings in our hearts without it burning us out or overwhelming us. And as you now open your heart and your core to people you would label loved ones, who arises in your heart? What faces do you see? Groups of people. No judgment. How many can you hold in this moment? And consider, as you connect with these loved ones, from your heart, activating a bit of curiosity and creativity, and considering who in this group needs to be soothed, who needs a place of refuge, and who feels ready for me to approach them and lean into them on the resilient edge of resistance. a deeper level of transformation. And no, you don't need to come up with any answers, but just ask the question with those, if there are those that you feel you could stretch into their resilient edge of resistance, what would that dance look like? Where you are both feeling vital, respected, honored, as well as challenged and uncomfortable. And from your center and from your heart, become aware of those human beings you would label strangers. Who arises in your heart? What faces do you see, or groups of people? Knowing that there's most likely more than 7 billion people on your list of strangers, how many can you currently in this moment hold in your heart? Who do you see specifically? Maybe someone at the supermarket, or a neighbor, or on the street, or you saw in the newspaper, or a group of people you've read about, seen on the news. And as you stand face to face with them from your center and from your heart, considering how can you find ways to be refuge for them? In what ways could you possibly soothe them? Might there be some strangers that you would find interesting to lean into their, with respect and honor, their resilient edge of resistance? Okay, engaging in that uncomfortable dance of transformation and connection and bridge building. Allowing energy to flow and emotions to flow without judgment. And now from your center and from your heart, become aware of those human beings you would label adversary. Taking care of yourself, making sure that you feel safe. Who arises in your heart? What faces do you see? Be honest and courageous. How many adversaries can you hold in your heart at this moment? Or at least hold at a distance from a heart-centered place of compassion, curiosity, and courage. And maybe use this time to dance on your own resilient edge of resistance and to consider, in what ways can I provide refuge to people that I actually label adversary in a way that doesn't compromise me? In what ways can I soothe their struggles, fear, confusion? And then would there be any in this group that I'm now connecting with from my center and from my heart that I could safely and cautiously lean into on their resilient edge of resistance for the purpose of maybe creating healing and reconciliation, transformation, bridge building, allowing energy to flow and emotions to flow. And as you're holding space now for all human beings, regardless of loved one, stranger, and adversary, bringing all human beings into your heart and considering, what if each one of us made that a commitment on a daily basis with loved ones, strangers, and adversaries, to soothe those that need to be soothed in this moment, to create refuge for those that need refuge, and to step into the creative dance of the resilient edge of resistance for us to inspire one another in the process of transformation to be our best selves, for the purpose and service of all beings on this planet and the planet itself. Imagine that actually happening the human family dancing in this dance of resistance. Mother Earth smiling with delight. All creatures thriving. Balance on the planet restored. And holding this image in your heart from your center and from your heart, take a full deep breath in. Maintaining the sense that you're experiencing, the state of being, holding on to that as you now breathe. Allow all human beings to flow into your heart as you bring your awareness back to those in this meditation circle. Sharing this moment, this vision with one another, with reverence, awe, respect. With respect, allowing all people in this meditation circle to flow into your heart as you bring your awareness back to your surroundings. With gratitude for the circumstances you are in this moment to be able to do a practice like this. And with gratitude for your surroundings, let your surroundings flow into your heart as you bring your awareness back to yourself. Taking a moment to stand face to face with yourself and with the biggest smile, just considering in what ways can you lean into the resilient edge of resistance with different parts of yourself that could use a little transformation at this moment. Boost of energy and creativity. Allowing this practice that we have done, the energy of this practice flow into every cell of your being, of your body, energizing, igniting, flowing into your organs as a way to heal and restore, bring back to balance your internal system, flowing into your nervous system as a way to anchor this experience, to remember it. And as a way to close this practice, let's take one final breath in deep in through your nose and out through your mouth. When you're ready, slowly open your eyes, holding on to your experience as you look around your room. You stretch your body a little bit, shake out your body a little bit. So we had a chance to, I shared some insights. We had a chance to do a practice. Now we have time to reflect. Who would like to share with anything that's on your heart from the talk I gave, from the meditation, from the practice? Feel free to come on camera if that's comfortable for you. No need to raise your hand, just jump in. Barbara, as Barbara raises her hand.
I had an extraordinary experience in a black cab in London who picked us up with our suitcases. And I got into a political conversation. And of course, there's a window between us and the driver. And he was clearly a right-wing person who is supporting a man named Farage, who is intensively on the right. And we had a conversation. And all of a sudden, he said to me, I've never had this kind of conversation before. The people who talk to me about politics are always pushing back. And then when we got out of the taxi, first of all, we did tip him. You don't have to tip in the UK. But the second thing that happened is not only did he take the the suitcases out, but we reached out and shook hands, which is entirely unusual. You don't usually engage with a taxi driver that way. And I realized that what Joe has been talking about, that was a micro moment where what Joe's describing was happening. And it wasn't intentional, but I was open and he was dumbfounded.
Good work. Good work, Barbara. Let's take a breath. That's it. And that is the work. You know, unless we're world leaders as or CEOs of large corporations, those are the kind of impacts we're going to have is one-to-one or in small groups. And I don't think we can no longer underestimate how powerful that is to be able to connect with someone in that way. And I would dare to say, Barbara, that it wasn't even what you were talking about. It was his sense of, wow, that was a real connection.
I agree.
I felt seen and heard and respected. And that's what he's going to take away. That's my assumption.
Right on.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Joe, I just wanted to say I haven't participated in these meetings in a long time, and I had forgotten how powerful your talks are and how energizing this meditation can be. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adriana. Thank you. It's good to see you. Very good to see you.
You too. To all of you.
Joe, I wanted to thank you for in our exercise mentioning being, you didn't use the word careful, but being conscious that we don't burn out during our respectful confrontations and the meeting people at the edge of resilience. And I think I loved what Tony's work has been. That's really, really hard work to make that transition and then to share it with people in such an effective way. And Tony, I think you had 3 C's. I would like to add, was it 3 C's? I would like to add a 4th, which is care. And that's care for one's self. Because if we're not mindful of our capacity, I think we run the risk of sort of, not being successful at this work. So care, self-care is very important, in my opinion.
I couldn't agree more. It's something that can be a challenge, for me. I mean, this last year, there was 6 weeks and I was home 4 days. We went to 45 high schools, 8 states, 6,100 students and adults, and being vulnerable and present in all of those spaces. I do have to be aware of manage resources. One caveat that I always add to compassion is healthy boundaries and consequences. Compassion on its own is very easy to take advantage of. It's very easy to abuse a compassionate person, someone who comes to you. But when we are able to offer that compassion, but have healthy boundaries and consequences around it, it becomes a very, very powerful thing. And sometimes those healthy boundaries and consequences we have to have with ourselves. I just want to just respond quickly to Barbara. One of the things that I tell students is as human beings, we have a superpower. And we have the power to inspire people around us with our thoughts and our deeds and who we choose to be in the world. And when we do that, we give people permission to do the same. And whether we choose to consciously use that power or not, we have it, and it's happening through every who we choose to be in every moment of every day is informing people around us and inspiring people around us to act in a similar way. And a lot of students haven't thought about it that way before. So a lot of us go through the world unconscious. We're not aware of the wake we leave behind us through our actions. And so I encourage them to, take control of that power. I spent 15 years of my life trying to make myself happy by trying to change the world. And I realized that I have more power to change the world by changing who I am in the world, by going inside and, literally being the change we wish to seek. And what you did in that cab, it sounds like you inspired that person. You put them, they will be transformed by that conversation. You will have changed the trajectory of their lives, even if it's only by 0.005%. It's now different, and you've given them permission to do likewise. And so I just want to say kudos to you, because it's not always easy to have those conversations. I know I've had tons of them. I co-founded an organization called Life After Hate, where we help people leave hate groups behind. And in the decade that I was there, I think we probably helped 700 individuals and families of loved ones involved in hate groups grapple with that. So I know how difficult those conversations can be, but I want to commend you on your courage, right? Compassion with courage, and there's probably a healthy dose of curiosity in there as to
That's true.
what is behind these beliefs. Who is the person behind these? How did they get to believe these things? And so that combination of the three is an extremely powerful piece.
Thank you. Thanks,
Thank-
Phil.
Can you talk about the boundaries that you think are important around compassion?
I'm gonna ask if you want to reach out. I think maybe reach out to Tony, because there might be some other people who want to share.
Fine.
Not that I don't want to hear from Tony. I could listen to Tony talk all day, but give other people a chance to share. Yeah.
I'll email him.
That's one of Barbara's superpowers, curiosity.
Mhm.
That really is. And, hey, Keith, it's been a while. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing very well. It's wonderful to be here and see everybody. I have a Tuesday morning commitment with a dear friend, and it's always kind of conflicted, and I just said, well, I'm going to be late today. So, and I love this conversation about compassion, and I've been a student of compassion, as Joe knows. And one of the things that I've learned in my experience is that there's really no such, well, we think about compassion as something that goes out from us, but it's a two-way street, and we forget that. And it's the self-compassion and the boundaries and the consequences are part of that self-compassion. And what I've learned in my work, where I totally burned out in emergency medicine many years ago, is that there's no such thing as compassion fatigue. There is such a thing as a lack of self-compassion. And so as we lean into this edge of resilience, it's so important that we do the self-care, that we do take care of ourselves and have compassion for ourselves, and look at those places inside of us that are hurting, that we also maybe have been running away from, that shadow. So
Thank you.
really, really enjoyed being here and catching up with this energy and the practice. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Keith. It's good to have you here.
Yeah.
There's dear Tori, who hasn't been for a while. Doesn't mean you have to talk because I'm calling you out, but
And I will be leaving a few minutes early, sorry.
anybody else want to share?
Got a question, Joe.
Yeah.
Dancing on the resilient edge of resistance. My body understands that. My mind is flabbergasted with the contradiction that is in there as well. So either I need a Dutch translation or I need a couple of more words around it. Because it is an intriguing sentence. It's a very intriguing sentence.
The resilient edge of resistance. I could work on translating it. I mean, it's I'll work on that. But I would say my answer to the way you worded your question is your body gets it, your mind doesn't. Then I would say your heart knows this, Paul.
Mhm.
The mind doesn't. I think you are where you are in your practice as a healer and you are transformational healing. Facilitation. So maybe your mind is looking for something that it doesn't need, that you don't need. That you know this in your body and you know this in your heart. And that ultimately, I would say that it isn't a mind thing, it is a heart thing. Of course, it's a body thing because you want to feel with your nervous system, you want to feel into the nervous system of another. And that the more you're trained in staying self-regulated, the more you can start co-regulating with another, and you can start feeling into and that's the work, right? At least the work that I'm cultivating is to be able to feel in a split second when their nervous system's about to go into fight, flight, freeze. And at that moment, making a different choice, pivoting so that it doesn't go into full fight, flight, freeze. That's a steep level of sensitivity. That's why the practice we do starts with awareness of self and surroundings before you even connect with another. But in essence, it's trusting in the heart that you're meeting that person where they are. And that you know this, I've seen you do it, is just leaning in and if you are flowing with your own sense of compassion and respect and dignity for the other, and you're activating your curiosity, then that's all that's needed to feel into that resilient edge of resistance. In the same way that a massage therapist, they need to be present, they need to breathe, they need to feel into the other's body, but they work with the fingers, right? If they're going into the body, they're getting it from there. For you, it's the heart, because you're not necessarily physically touching someone. But we could talk more about that. Does that offer a perspective?
Yeah, that was a perspective. I'm also thinking about if I'm starting a new training in 2 weeks. And there's a lot of people who want to start facilitating this systemic work. And that's where this sentence might come in very helpful. And it's helpful for me as their facilitator to have some kind of a sense what it means in that sense. And I think in your describing it in the way that you describe it, what the process is, I'm starting to get it. So thank you.
And I think it also for you, I think it's also, okay, you know when you've gotten to the point where you've soothed them and you've created refuge for them. And now it's on you to say, do I now want to make them more uncomfortable? That's on you. And that's the courage piece.
Yeah.
Trusting in yourself.
Thank you.
Thank you. Beautiful. Any one more last words or before we close?
I just wanted to quickly add a piece about the internal compassion that was shared, and for me, our ability to be compassionate with others We have to mine it from ourselves. We have to develop that. The more we have self-compassion, the more we go inward, the more we develop our capacity to deliver compassion outward. Otherwise, we end up we have compassion for everybody else but ourselves. That's not compassion. That's about ego. That's narcissism. If we're compassionate for ourselves and nobody else, sorry, that's the narcissism piece. When we're doing it externally, it's about ego. It's got to be sort of in balance, but we can't give what we don't have internally. And on the inverse of that, the level that we dehumanize other human beings is a mere reflection of our own internal disconnection and dehumanization. That's the polarity of that.
Thank you. Thank you, Tony. Do you want to put your website address in the chat, Tony? So we're going to sum up now. So a couple of announcements. So we've got 4 C's now. We've got courage, compassion, curiosity, and care. And I'm going to add another one, which I would call creativity, to announce we are almost at the point where you could purchase your Occupy Here t-shirts. Well, if you're on the mailing list, if you're not, please get on the mailing list. Claudian's going to put there's the occupyhere.com. You can go onto that. The idea is just to get as many people as possible to purchase this t-shirt, walk around with this idea of Occupy Here. What we've seen is how it's brought smiles to people's faces. It's neutralized tension, and it's a beautiful t-shirt. It's very nice, feels good quality. And in the US, our desire is to get as many people as possible before the US elections to actually get that and to take that with them as they go vote to the polling centers, to just give the message of vote from your heart, not from fear, from compassion and wisdom. So just want to make that announcement. We're doing a workshop, a 2-day weekend workshop on November 2nd and 3rd in Northampton, Massachusetts. You can find out information about that on the website. If you would like to make a donation for this session, we don't ask money, but if you'd like to make a donation to the Fierce Civility Project, we use that money to create events like this where we don't have to ask for money. Please do. There's a link for that. And of course, purchasing the books, The Respectful Confrontation and the Fierce Civility book. If you haven't done that, or if you know people who might want that, please do. And of course, my TEDx talk, A Cure for Chronic Niceness. If you haven't watched that 10 times, start watching it more. So as always, we're going to end with a dedication. We took this beautiful time to create this space, to set intention, to do our practice, to reflect. And I'd like to now, all the energies that we've generated, to just focus that and to offer that to people who may have compassion, who may even have curiosity, but are feeling stuck or disempowered or disillusioned or hopeless in this time, to activate more courage within them, to realize that they can be a force for transformation in their own way. Holding space for tomorrow as we move into September 11th, just the space of remembering for many of us what it was like, the global unity that we felt on those days after that tragedy, to remember that in our bodies, that it is possible for us as one global heart to connect, and that we're so close to anchoring on this planet the transformation that we've been desiring, of respect and dignity and belonging for all. May it be so. All right, thank you. Good to see you all. See you next. We'll have one more Global Heart before the US elections, the second Tuesday of October. Put it in your calendars now and join us. And if you know 2 or 3 people who might want to join in, have them come. And of course, always, if you have any questions, please feel free to just get in touch, send us an email. We'd love to hear from you. All right, thank you. Have a beautiful day.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.